Morning, guys, from Stornoway bus station. This is travel, isn't it? 7 o'clock in the morning, it's pitch black, and I'm waiting for some kind of bus that's going to take me up to Stornoway Airport, apparently. Although I'm going to tell the bus driver where I want to get off. And when from there, I'm going to be taking Loganair's Embraer down to Glasgow. I think it's the 145, but you never know, do you? So I'm just hedging my bets there. And it's a shortish flight. I'm hoping it'll be light by the time we take off. Just like to show you a little bit of the trip, and we'll have a look at the aircraft, and I'm hoping for quite a nice flight. The wind's getting up. It's going to be an amber wind warning, as they say in the UK, for tomorrow. So, it's just a case at the moment of getting off the island, I think. Otherwise, who knows when I could be back home. We'll see how it goes, won't we? As always, I'm sure it'll be an adventure. I'll see you at the airport. My bus was the W5 service, destination the exotically named Turning Point, according to the departure board here. And it did turn up on time, and it took about 10 minutes to get over to the airport. Price £1.30 adult single. That is probably the least money I've ever spent getting to an airport. Oh, right, yeah, Stornoway Airport terminal. I was just talking to the bus driver, and he was saying that, the ferries will be cancelled tomorrow, so if you don't get off the island today, you're going to be stuck here for who knows how long. So, it's just a case now of heading inside, really, and having a little look around, checking my bag in, and, we'll be ready to depart, hopefully at 08:30 hours this morning. I'll see you in a bit. Quite a nice little airport, this. It looked a bit small from the outside, but this was a little deceptive, as once I'd made my way inside, the actual area here was quite large, I thought. Plenty of seating, and it has all the facilities you would expect from one of these Scottish domestic airports. I thought it was a bit similar to Kirkwall, actually, up in the Orkney Islands. And Loganair check-in desks were over here to the left, and cafe and car hire was to the right. The cafe was closed at the time of my visit, unfortunately. Well, I checked my bag over at the Loganair desk, and I was given a printed boarding card.
Loganair flight 471 to Glasgow. Good on passengers. Please proceed through security now. Thank you.
As you heard there, we were promptly called through to security and the departure area airside.
Thank you very much.
Our flight arrived from Glasgow at 07:51, 16 minutes late. GSAJG, an almost 26-year-old Embraer 145 that had previously flown with British Regional Airlines, British Airways, British Airways City Express, BA Connect, Flybe, remember them, BMI Regional, remember them too. And it ended up with Loganair in March 2019, and then they gave it the name Clan Pentland. It was beginning to get light as we walked across the tarmac towards the aircraft, boarded through the front door only, using this kind of inclined ramp thing, which is actually really useful for people with mobility issues. I was in seat 11A today, one of the exit row seats, and usefully, after the flight attendant had checked my ticket at the door, she advised me about making sure my bag was stowed away in the overhead bin. Obviously I would have done this anyway, but getting that advice prior to finding my seat, well, it just speeds up the turnaround a little bit, and we were running a bit late at this point anyway. Seating is in a 2-1 configuration on these Embraers, the single seats being on the left hand side facing forward. Somebody was sitting in my seat, so after I'd moved them across the aisle, I settled in, and once boarding was complete, everyone was given the usual safety demonstration by the flight attendant, plus additional safety briefing for the exit row passengers. Philip Allen, I think it was, he was on the flight deck this morning, and not just him obviously, but he was on the PA telling us to expect a 45-minute flight
with good visibility, a thin cloud at 3,500 feet. And I was right over the wing here as we taxied out to runway 18. And a question for you guys who know much more about aircraft than I do. The window blinds are all closed from the top downwards, apart from the emergency exit row blinds that close from the bottom up. Now why is that? Please let me know in the usual way. Incidentally, before the airport was built, where we are located now, well, it used to be part of a golf course. Enjoy the takeoff and the views as we speed down the runway directly south and climb out over open seas. Yeah, fantastic views of the Eye Peninsula here, connected to the rest of the island by that thin strip of land that carries the A866 back to Stornoway. And it's such a beautiful place. I'd had a really nice time the day before, just looking around the area, and as I gazed out the window at the sunrise, I couldn't help wondering whether I'd like to live here or not. And I'm not sure, to be honest. As I said earlier, there was a storm brewing, and the next day all services from the island, air and sea, well, they'd all been cancelled, and in that respect, I guess you can feel a little bit isolated at times, but then again, Stornoway does appear to have all the amenities you need, and it was a lot bigger than I expected. But it doesn't really feel like an island to me, but let me know, would you live here? Do you live here? I'd love to know what you think. And getting around the island as a tourist, well, the bus service, it's not that great. As I understand it, there's lots of different operators, so you have to buy a separate ticket for each trip, and there's no day rovers or anything like that. And the tickets aren't cheap, and the longer services, well, they're so infrequent, you just end up wasting hours just waiting for the bus. Now, I found all this out by speaking to the guy at the bus station, who was very helpful, but in the end I just decided to hire a car. Much easier and not that expensive in comparison. I definitely recommend car hire if you are thinking about coming here for 1 or 2 days at least. Anyway, the in-flight service came round, and it was, as expected, a choice of tea, coffee, a caramel bar, or a shortbread if I recall correctly. And predictably, I went for a cup of tea and a Tunnock's. As you would expect from an exit row seat, there was plenty of leg room, and a pouch to store any loose items, and a flip-down table, which you have already seen. Above your head is an individual air vent, reading light and call button, and the seat itself, well, it's fairly standard. Not easy to show you in this 2-1 configuration, but I do like the Loganair individual tartan antimacassars, which you probably caught a glimpse of as I boarded the aircraft a little bit earlier on. We spent about 6 minutes in the cruise, which was for today's flight just 21,000 feet. There was quite a bit of cloud cover now as we approached Glasgow, so views weren't that great, but as our pilot had said earlier, it was pretty thin cloud cover, and as we descended, it wasn't long before we'd broken through. Now correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think the change in sound must have been as the undercarriage was lowered. And as we made our final approach, we were treated to some lovely views of the city to our left. We headed over the Clyde and this bridge here, which must be fairly new as I couldn't find it on Google Maps. and then over black cart water as we came into land this morning on runway 23. Now, the price I paid for this flight, well, it wasn't cheap. £127.17 one way. Some of this was my fault, to be fair, because I'd had to move this whole trip back a week due to a double booking. So the original price of £97.49 incurred an additional £29.68 cost to change the date. Now, if you live on the islands, I think it's much cheaper, and I would be grateful if somebody could confirm that. But yeah, overall, it's convenient, isn't it? Especially because of this storm that was approaching. 45 minutes after leaving Stornoway, and you're in Glasgow, a completely different world. And Loganair will get you there, and no other airlines fly these routes. And if the ferry isn't running, well, it could be your only means to and from the islands. The airline itself has been operating since 1962, would you believe? And the fleet, well, it currently consists of these Embraers, ATR 42 and 72s, British Norman Islanders and Twin Otters. And although the majority of its routes are in Scotland, they will get you down to Heathrow as well as other regional airports in the UK. They also have selected routes to Scandinavia and Dublin. And for me, well, they can be much more convenient than British Airways, but they could also be much more expensive than EasyJet. And the main thing is they provide more options, and as BA have decided to alienate themselves from most of their frequent flyers, well, I'll certainly be looking at using Loganair much more in the future. And they have incidentally got their own loyalty program, Clan Loganair. Well, it's much easier for me to fly, say, Birmingham to Glasgow or Edinburgh with EasyJet, or Manchester to Inverness with Loganair, especially as I have no incentive to remain loyal to British Airways anymore. Having said that, it should be easier and cheaper to take the train, but that's another story entirely, isn't it? And as you can see, disembarkation was a very easy process, and it was a quick walk across the ramp and into the terminal building. I was taking a bus once more into the city centre, but before that, I just took a minute to stand outside the airport and summarise the journey.
Right then guys, back in Glasgow, and I'm at Glasgow Airport. One thing I won't be doing is taking one of those, the 500 Glasgow Airport Express or whatever it's called. £10.50 single, no chance. I will be heading on the 77, which is that one there. It takes a bit longer, but I'm sure it's cheaper. What did you think of that flight then? A quick little flight, wasn't it, from Stornoway down to Glasgow with Loganair and the Embraer 145. That's pretty good. It's usual Loganair standard really. You get a coffee and a Tunnocks or shortbread if you want one. And overall, a great service. You cannot really complain, can you? I paid quite a bit of money for it, so let me know what you thought of the price in the comments below. Right, more adventures to come. I'll see you in a little while. Thank you very much for watching. Catch you on another video soon. As always guys, cheers for now.